Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Ethereum is still forming this falling wedge pattern, but we have some major resistance to the upside in the shorter term. I will also be talking about some other Ethereum patterns such as this head and shoulders pattern and this inverse head and shoulders pattern, and Ethereum experiencing a short-term bounce back to the upside when valued against Bitcoin. All of that and more in this video, so definitely make sure you're watching all the way to the end so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, I would really appreciate it if you could just spend a couple seconds out of your day to click the like button down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos that I post every single day. But with all of that out of the way, let's get straight to what this video is about. So right here, we're on the Ethereum to US dollar chart on the 12-hour time frame, and this is the same falling wedge pattern that I've been talking about for the last 2 days now on the channel. The resistance is right now coming in at around 4.1k, and the support is coming in at around 3,650. So obviously a break below support would be bearish, a break above resistance would be bullish, but considering this is a falling wedge pattern, this particular type of pattern is known as a bullish pattern because 7 times out of 10 this pattern breaks to the upside, and about 3 times out of 10 it breaks to the downside. So technically speaking, it is more likely to break to the upside than to the downside. And so if we do see a confirmed break above resistance, then the technical price target for this pattern is simply the top of the falling wedge, which is right now coming in at around 4.7k. So from the point of the breakout to that price target, that would potentially be around a 16 to 17% gain. And so obviously if that plays out, that would not be a bad trade. But with that being said, looking in the VP/VR indicator on the 12-hour time frame, it does show that there's still a decent amount of resistance to the upside for Ethereum, really starting at around 4.1k, close to the current Ethereum price, and that goes all the way up until around 4.3k. So once we start breaking above around 4,300, 4,400, then at that stage, according to the VP/VR indicator, the resistance drops off quite a lot. And so essentially above 4.4k, it should be a pretty easy ride all the way up towards around 4.7k, which is where we will come into the next point of major resistance. And zooming out to the 2-day time frame for Ethereum and bringing out this moving average, which is the 120-day simple moving average. This was the exact moving average that Ethereum bottomed out at during the September correction. And as of right now, Ethereum is still holding above this moving average, which is obviously a good sign to see. I've been mentioning almost every single day over the past few weeks that if Ethereum remains above this moving average, then we could be due for a bottom like September, where we basically see a bounce from this moving average and almost immediately begin the recovery over the next few weeks and months. But if Ethereum sees a confirmed break below this exact level, which by the way, this moving average is currently coming in at approximately 3.8k, and so a confirmed break below that level would potentially put us in a similar situation like what we saw back during June. As you can see, at the end of May, we crashed right into this exact moving average, found major support along this level, but because the price of Ethereum broke below this moving average, that was obviously a bearish signal at that time, and that simply set us up for one final dump to the downside before then we started to bottom out. And so basically, while we're bouncing along this moving average, we are in a deciding moment because, as I just mentioned, Ethereum is currently deciding between basically bottoming out right now, or a break of that exact level would send us into one final dump before then we bottom out. And by the way, I talked about this scenario and the similarities between this correction and the correction that we saw back during May and June in my last Ethereum update video that I posted yesterday on the channel. So after you finish watching this video, I definitely recommend you checking out my last Ethereum update video that I posted yesterday. But it's important to mention that this is closer to speculation above anything, because this right here is just pointing out the similarities between this pullback and the pullback during May and June. It's not exactly a price pattern or anything like that. Now, talking about a price pattern, we have been talking about the head and shoulders pattern on the 4-hour time frame for Ethereum for the last few days now. And yes, Ethereum has clearly formed this pattern, but we have not seen a break below the neckline for this larger head and shoulders pattern. The neckline for this pattern is currently coming in at around 3,660 approximately, which is obviously coming in a little bit lower from where it was yesterday and the day before that because it is a descending line of support. So basically, while the price of Ethereum is holding above this neckline, we're looking all right. We haven't actually confirmed this pattern. Even though it has formed, the price target does not come into play until we see a confirmed break below the neckline, which once again hasn't actually happened. Now, a pattern that did end up forming was this smaller head and shoulders pattern on the 4-hour chart. As you can see, we saw the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder, and then we saw a break to the downside, came back up and saw a retest of the neckline, confirming it as resistance in the immediate short term. So technically speaking, according to this pattern, that did set up a price target to the downside up until the exact moment that the price broke back above this neckline. And this is just another reason why it is important to follow me over on my Twitter, because I sent out this update saying that the Ethereum head and shoulders pattern has now been invalidated around 15 hours ago, so not long after we actually broke back above this neckline. And by the way, you'll find a link to my Twitter in the description down below and also also in the pinned comment. Now, getting into another Ethereum pattern that is possibly forming right now, but it still has a way to go, and that is this potential inverse head and shoulders pattern. As you can see, we've already seen the left shoulder, we've already seen the head, and right now, if we get a rejection in the immediate short term, that could end up forming a right shoulder, which is what we'll need to see to actually complete this pattern. And the neckline is currently coming in at around 4.1k approximately, but remember, we need to see a right shoulder form and a confirmed break above that neckline before we can look at the price target for this pattern. If we immediately break above 4.1k without forming a right shoulder, then this inverse head and shoulders pattern basically never formed, and in that case, we'll be focusing our attention on the falling wedge pattern, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video. Now, jumping over to Ethereum versus Bitcoin on the daily time frame, and as you can see, we obviously broke out to the upside a few weeks ago now, and for pretty much the past 1 week, we have been seeing a short-term cool-off for Ethereum against Bitcoin, which is exactly what we were expecting on this channel before that even happened, due to the fact that the RSI was entering into overbought territory, showing us that we were getting overheated in the short term. And so with the short-term cool-off that we just experienced, that has reset the RSI down towards more neutral areas, which is giving us more room to the upside later on. So this is exactly why we need to see short-term cool-offs in the middle of an uptrend, because an uptrend with no cool-offs and no corrections is simply not sustainable, and it doesn't last very long. And by the way, for the brand new viewers on the channel, the technical price target for the breakout of this triangle pattern is coming in at around 0.1 Bitcoin per Ethereum, and technically that bullish price target remains active while we're remaining above this line right here, currently coming in at around 0.076 Bitcoin per Ethereum approximately. But just quickly zooming into the 4-hour time frame for Ethereum against Bitcoin, what we have here is a possible head and shoulders pattern currently forming. Now, this pattern has not confirmed. We've only seen the left shoulder, the head, and right now we are possibly forming the right shoulder. But what we would need to see for this pattern to complete is essentially Ethereum running into resistance in the immediate short term and coming back to the downside, and then seeing a confirmed break below the neckline, which is coming in at around the same sort of price as I just mentioned when talking about this pattern right here. So as of right now, this pattern is just something to pay attention to while it is possibly forming. If you got value out of this video, make sure to leave a like down below, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. This crypto world community is so close to reaching 100,000 subscribers, and honestly, I cannot thank you enough for all of your amazing support on the channel. And obviously the goal is still to try and hit 100,000 by the end of this year. And so if you want to help make that happen, simply just click the subscribe button down below. It costs you nothing, and feel free to share these videos around with your friends and family, especially right now considering the amazing opportunity in the crypto markets. And before you click off, you might as well check out one of these uploads if you haven't already, because these videos just here could potentially help you make a lot more money in the crypto markets. But that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.